We are live, a Wednesday edition of the Slate. Welcome, everybody. We love you for watching us wherever you are from around the world. Thanks for being here and making us part of your day and making us a priority. You could be doing anything right now, no matter what time of the world it is and where you are on this planet. And you're here with us on the Slate. With Jeff Ulrich, the Canadian Prince of Poutine. Oh, man.
You'll get it out.
Reed T. Fowler, the happy Harry Hawaiian. I'm Emerson Latzia, the gorgeous golf gurus on your screen. We'll talk some football. We'll talk some golf. Jeff, are you sweaty right now? You look sweaty. It's been toweling off.
No, I am. I just came from a run with my dog. So basically my dog carried me around the neighborhood a few times and then we came in. I got very sweaty.
That's great, man. It's really good to have you here. Reed, how are you doing today?
Good. I had a couple appointments, a couple of doctor's appointments, one for the human baby, one for the dog baby. Picks up some dry cleaning. Dog baby has a little ear infection. So you had to get squared away. Wasn't great. He did not like it. He was less than pleased that we were there. But he got an extra meal worth of treats. So he is basically in a food coma right now.
Dude, you are just living that dad life as
dude, man.
Producer Eamon likes to
say.
And
this is what we were talking about before the show. Sorry to cut you off, but it's like I get so jealous because we're like following people on Twitter when they're about to go on their golf trips, right? They tweeted out, I'm not going to be giving out pics and content this week because I'm playing every single course on the PGA Tour in the next 4 days. So see you guys later. I'm going to have a beer at 9:00 in the morning at the airport where no rules apply, apparently.
Yep.
The airports are lawless.
Yep.
But
I agree.
I'm super jealous because you and I have been Jeff have been trying to plan a golf trip since 1995.
It feels like that. You haven't lived, man. You haven't lived unless you've had that like pre 9 a.m. airport beer.
Like the Goose Island. Yeah. Super heavy, 12% alcohol.
Terrible.
Double IPA beer at 8:30. Because why not?
That's like the real you. Like the you are in an airport, Jeff. That is the real you.
I mean, I just get a magazine and like a bag of gummy bears and just like go into a corner. So I guess that's me. I mean, I don't know.
Jeff is 5. Well, everybody else is 25 in an airport.
All right. What do you guys want to do? Where do you want to start? You want to start NFL, like some of the schedule release and get into golf, or you want to start golf? I'm going to let you guys choose today because I care that much about you.
Let's start golf.
You want to start golf?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And I'm glad you ended up going that route because I was reading some articles online. I came across one that included experts' picks for this week to win. Reed T. Fowler's handsome face was included in this article. And it's a guy we talked about this morning, Jeff. And it was Justin Thomas, a guy who hasn't won since the Players' Championship last year. Sweet T. Fowler, I heard what Jeff had to say this morning. You couldn't join us on the show because of the doctor's appointments. But can you tell me why you believe JT is the man this week? And in DFS, he's 10-1. I don't have the odds in front of me. I don't know what his odds are. They're pretty short, aren't they?
He's 9.
Okay. So why do you feel like this is the week that, and to quote some of the experts, he's due for a win?
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy, like that part of it is easy because he hasn't over the past 12 months, like 12 months plus, right? And Thomas has been a guy who had a win rate before, his last win at the Players of like once every 9 or 10 tournaments. So when you just play out the averages for someone who's, been a top 10, top 8 golfer in the world for a long time, it stands to reason that he is due just on a probability sense. But if you dig into the numbers a little bit, and even if you don't, right, you can kind of see it. He's passing the eye test where the approaches are fantastic. And he's making putts, but he's not making a ton of putts, right? Those things can be fixed from day to day, week to week putting. But when you're hitting it as well as he is, and you've done what JT has done on easy courses like the Sony Open in 2017, where he shot the course record of 59, when you have that type of ability in your back pocket, and on top of that, Southern Hills being next week, and JT, if he can win this week, not a guy who will have a win hangover, that will propel him into essentially what I think is going to be a fantastic run. And right now, 9-1, if you got it earlier at maybe plus 1,000, plus 12,000, or plus 1,200, where I think it opened up, I think that's a solid number. Could one of these guys win? Absolutely.
Yeah.
but JT at the top. And it's a lot to do with, I don't know how you feel about this too, Jeff. I love Will Zalatoris, but give me a break. Like, he is not at plus 1,400. Like, he does not belong anywhere near that number. And he's not twice as likely to win over Hideki, even if Hideki has a bad back and a bad neck. There's no way.
I think Jason Sobel said the exact same thing the other day. Like, he likes Willie Z, but like not necessarily at that number.
Gotta win first.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Texas guy too, though, isn't he? Like, it's not like one of the narrative streets like people are playing this week.
Wait, and look, he played this course really well last year, but guess what? He didn't do well in Spot. So, Justin Thomas sometimes struggles with that club too. But Justin Thomas, as Rita's alluded to, like, he's looked closer to just putting it together. I mean, everything is there. It's just like he just needs to sink a couple more putts, and like it's good. It's coming for Justin Thomas. There's no doubt about it. You look too at the proximity stats. I know Zalatoris is great as well at this, but like proximity, JT really ranks out perfectly for this course. KH Lee led the field from 150 to 175 last year in proximity. That's what Justin Thomas leads the field in over like long-term stats. So yeah, with, when the start of the week, or even just like yesterday before Koepka dropped out, you had Koepka and Matsuyama there plus 3,500. And for me, like, going to those guys kind of made sense. Now Hideki's down to 28. I almost don't hate, if you're looking at the top of the field, I honestly almost don't hate betting Justin Thomas this week. It's just like, again, like the win rate, it's going to happen soon. It's going to happen very soon for Justin Thomas. And it's kind of hard to predict it, but I don't know. I mean, I have qualms about all these guys between like from Hideki down. Zalatoris is too short. DJ, like, the number is fine with DJ, but like, he really just hasn't been, it doesn't look as close to me as Justin Thomas. So I get that the number is double, but like, at some point, like, a guy just looks so ready to win, and you kind of have to judge, like, is this more realistic that Justin Thomas is going to do it, or do I want to take double the odds? If I was going at someone in the 2,000 range, I might actually look at Sam Burns, but I like either starting with Justin Thomas, or this is what I'm doing. I'm just starting further back. Like, I'm going to be starting in like the 5K range. I've actually done most of my bets at like plus 6,500 or bigger. I might add someone in like the 5K range or 4K range this week. And I mean, like plus 4,000 or bigger. But I think it's a good event to take some shots back in the field, because there's more elite players here. A lot of the guys like an Aaron Wise at plus 5,500, he was plus 3,000 in Mexico. Now he's plus 5,500. We're getting good value on the middle of the field in this one.
Yeah, Riti, Thomas has played this event just once, so it's a bit of a new strategy heading into next week's major, and it's something I talked about with Jeff on the Sweat this week. How much do you factor in, Reed, maybe like the motivation for some of these dudes playing the week like before a major?
The one guy that withdrew factors in quite a bit in Brooks Koepka. But outside of that, this is how I approach it: is that pre-tournament, each one of these guys, they're going there to win. Yeah. Right. Like, if they're yes. Right. The Hidekis, the Joaquin Niemans of, maybe not even Joaquin Niemann, like the DJs, the Xanders, like maybe even San Xander. Like, there's a couple of guys that maybe aren't going to go full boat on it. But what I do factor in is, after a certain time, right, on Thursday, maybe in the second round, or Friday in the first 9, if those guys aren't close to the cut line, and last year the cut was 6 under par. So if those guys aren't close, and this is why it scared me with Brooks, even at plus 3,500, is that's when the Xanders, the DJs, the Hidekis, maybe even, right, like the Fleetwoods, they might push back and say, you know what, like, why would I push on the second 9 if I'm 5 outside the cut line, or 4 outside the cut? I might just say, you know what, I don't need this. I can go to Tulsa a little bit early, gear up for the PGA Championship, as opposed to grind out 2.5 more days. That's where it factors in after day 1 and halfway through day 2. But before that, each one of these guys is looking to win. And there's a bunch, right? There's a bunch out here. Yeah. It's the new core. I mean, it's only the second year playing on the PGA Tour. There's a bunch of guys out here that are looking for their first win.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, they're here because they want competitive practice. Yeah, most of these guys want to get in 4 rounds this week. And yeah, Reed's right. Like, if someone starts 5 over, there's definitely someone could pull the chute and be like, well, let's just forget this happened. Yeah. Kind of like Rory did before the Masters, right? At the Valero. But most likely, like I'm not like scared of betting the top of the board this week. I just not really in love with anyone. So yeah, I think that, you know, most of these players, the motivation is there. And I think what Reed is getting to, like DJ, Justin Thomas, even Xander, like these guys have not won a stroke play event for a while, man. Like
long time. Yeah.
They need a confidence boost. I think, especially for a guy like Justin Thomas right now.
Yeah, and this layout last year, Reed, was like the textbook definition of a birdie fest. There were 6 golfers that finished at least 20 under par. Jeff's pick, KH Lee, last year, won this thing at 25 under, like for the entire week. Do you expect scores to be that low this time around, Reed?
Yeah, I do. Because look, this course is, I mean, it's wide open. It's extremely forgiving off the tee. And what we kind of saw at the Mexico Open was that. Right. But there was a lot of wind that could factor in. And a Texas course, because this is wide open, there's no trees, wind can play a factor, but I don't think the forecast has a ton of wind. I have to double check it. But that's the thing about these courses, is that if there's no defense, and in Texas, for the most part, it is wind. If that's not there, or if it's even at like 12 miles per hour and it's gusting maybe up to 18, these guys are way too good. And when you have 4 par 5s instead of 2 like last week, and it's not going to be windy and rainy like last week, you're going to get to these holes. There's 6 par 4s between 450 and 500 yards. But other than that, I think there's 2 par 4s under 400 yards as well. So there's a ton of scoring opportunities. And you look at KH Lee, right? KH Lee did not have good form coming into this tournament, and he pops and he shoots 25 under par. Now you have 7 or 6 of the top 15 players, or 7, because I don't think Brooks is in the top 15, playing here. Like they're going to go low. Like I wouldn't be surprised if one of these guys doesn't, like a DJ, but these guys are going to go low because this course is just so receptive. And bent grass greens, all pros, unless you've grown up on Poa annua and all you do is putt Bermuda, they all love bent grass. Like bent runs pure on greens, and if that's the case, you're going to see a ton of birdies roll through.
Jeff, were you saying earlier you like a lot of guys like in the mid-range territory there on the DK Sportsbook?
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, the last two weeks seen just not that many top 20 players. You got 7, actually with Brooks out, I think it's 6 in the top 15 now. Actually, may still be 7. I think Brooks is like 16th. Anyways, yeah, there's just more top end talent, and it's just pushed all these guys we've been chasing, like down further in the odds, right? I mentioned Aaron Wise. He's plus 5,500 now. He was 6th in Mexico. He's like 4th in Mexico 2 weeks ago. He's playing very good. Everyone loved him. My guy Mito Pereira, like plus 6,500. He would have been like plus 3,000 in Mexico too. But there's far more examples. Like, you know, can even go further down, right? Like CT Pan is a guy who I think he was plus 3,000 2 weeks ago. He's plus 5,500 at TPC Potomac, and now he's like, I think it's plus 10,000 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. He finished T15 last week. He's gained strokes on approach in 8 straight starts.
Yeah.
Like, this is why I'm just more tempted to just really target this middle range here. Guys like Maverick McNeely, I know some people love him. I don't mind it. Adam Hadwin is another guy at plus 5,500. I think you should take a look at. There's a lot of names there. And I think you'll probably see one of them get hot with the putter and really compete. Siwoo Kim. He doesn't look that good, but like, again, he's making cuts. He's not playing that bad. Just like KH Lee wasn't playing that bad last year. And the putter got a little hot. The approaches were okay. And, you know, voila. So I look at this range as probably your best bets this week to target.
Sweet T Fowler. I love a little Matthew Wolf there as your dark horse. I see that right now in the Golf Digest article. Okay. Yeah. All right. Can you tell me why you like Matthew Wolf here a lot? I think Jeff and I are kind of on board with him this week too.
Interesting. I would love to know why off camera, but no, I think Matthew Wolf, like I like him a lot because like Jeff's mentioned, you know, there's certain players that like once you clear your mind, and I think Matt Wolf has been very open about this and very vulnerable about this. So I applaud his efforts in bringing this to light, is that he's dealt with a lot of mental health when it comes to his sport. I know during the pandemic, it was really hard for him because basically as a young 20-year-old who has millions of dollars, couldn't do anything, right? Couldn't see his friends. And that's massive when you're in your 20s. So, it was a rough go for him, and it definitely translated to his game where he was pressing. He wasn't doing well. There was no fans. This guy's grown up with fans around him since he was, 10 years old golfing. And so I get it. But you take a look at what he did last week. He was sixth coming into Sunday's round last week. He ended up, being T25, top 25. And now you get to a course that's similar to the 3M Open. It's similar to Shriners, right? Or your TPC Summerlin, where he's made a ton of birdies. He's not going to be, it's not going to be penal off a tee if he sprays one. And there's 4 par 5s. So when you get a number like that on Matt Wolff, and I believe he's at plus 9,000, I really like that. I think it's a fine bet. I think Tom Hoagie is another one that you can consider for a top 20. And again, look at the guys who've done well on easy courses. Seamus Power shot back-to-back 64s at Pebble Beach to then falter on Saturday and Sunday. But for the first 2 days of that tournament, it looked like it was his. Like no one was going to catch Seamus Power. He's at plus 3,500. Take a look at those guys. Adam Hadwin's the same way, right? We've seen him at the American Express shoot in like the 24 under range. He's come runner-up twice at that event and a third place at that event in his career. So to Jeff's point, there's a lot of guys in this mid-range from the 40s to even, to the 130s. Kitayama, all he does is rack up top fives in like the last 5 weeks. This guy's been playing amazing. It's going to happen for these players. It's just a matter of picking the right guy. But yeah, Matthew Wolff, someone that I like quite a bit.
Yeah, Jeff, talking like long shots, talking dark horses here. I think you got up earlier before the show, and I was telling Reed, I saw the stat that as wild, like as his play fluctuates, talking just Wolff, like last weekend, for example, at the Wells Fargo, he led the field in strokes gained off the tee on Thursday, but then in Friday's second round ranked 120th in the field, like in that same statistical category. Like this is a guy who you said could either like miss the cut by a lot or is contending for a second career victory.
Okay. So here's the thing with Matt Wolff, right? The driver last week was wild, but he even said coming into last week, he was expecting nothing. He said like he was wild in practice too. So for him to go out and put together 4 rounds when clearly he didn't have the driver working on a tough course, I think that's a great sign. I think it's just like a sign that's okay. Maybe I'm not like out in the woods as far away from my A game as possible. And I know, like, people are going to say, well, he was like top 10 going into the weekend. He still held it. Yeah. He didn't shoot like 80 on Sunday. He was still 25th. It's a really big confidence boost for a guy who was literally not making cuts, could not get himself in contention. And to your point about the off the tee play, TPC Craig Ranch, it almost doesn't matter how wild he is. Yeah. We saw guys like Patton Kazire, even KH Lee. He's like is not great off the tee. I think he gained like a stroke off the tee last year, but it's not like he was dominant off the tee. 2 guys in the top 10 last year lost strokes off the tee. If Matt Wolff even just improves a little bit there, and he brings the same, and maybe the irons even take an uptick, he might not even need to be better off the tee at TPC Craig Ranch. He might just, if the irons just take over for him, and we saw it on Thursday, man, when this guy gets hot with those clubs, like look out. So I'm fine with it. The main thing about Matt Wolff, is he still plus 13,000 on DraftKings?
No, he was plus 10,000.
Plus 10,000. He was plus 13,000 earlier in the week. Even at plus 10,000, you just take a shot with Matt Wolff. This is like the most prolific college winner ever. He won like in one of his first events on the PGA Tour. He's going to win again. Like there's no concern in my mind. Yes, he's a completely up and down player. He needs to find a little bit of consistency, but would you rather like sprinkle a few bucks and just have that peace of mind? Because if he does hit at 100 to 1, you're going to feel like an idiot. Like you're going to feel dumb. So if you're someone who follows golf, I think he's just a no-brainer. You have to include on the card at this point. He's got a little bit of confidence. If it doesn't work out, it was 100 to 1. You're not wasting like a huge portion of your bankroll here or anything like that. So that's Reed, the way I'm looking at Matt Wolff.
Okay. Another native Texan here, Jordan Spieth. What are your thoughts on Spieth here? Because Jeff, as we talked about a little bit this morning on the sweat, like maybe it's floating around his head. Like obviously next week he's going to be aiming to complete that career Grand Slam. And then we also saw though, like him winning at Hilton Head, despite putting worse than the field average, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on Jordan Spieth, I just don't really have any thoughts about him this week. He always gets talked about with this event because it's like the hometown event for him. He's from Dallas. It's right outside Dallas. He's never really performed that well, no matter what the venue. I think one year he was in like the final group on Sunday and he just imploded. So there's that factor. And then you mentioned it, like Spieth just won a couple weeks ago. He's the prototypical type player who could come in here, be like 3-0, like 3 off the cut line, like with like 9 holes to play, and just be like, you know what, man, whatever. You know, maybe he comes in and like just scrapes by the cut, but like I think the motivation on the weekend for him will just be getting in practice. Like I don't think he's going to be, exerting himself too much. So I look at Jordan Spieth as that's just a guy I really want no piece of. And you mentioned the setup too. Like Spieth could get red hot with the putter, I guess, but it really hasn't been his best club of late. You want Spieth on like a tighter, more technical course right now, where you got smaller greens. So you can think about him next week when we talk about Southern Hills and stuff. Maybe that'll probably be a better setup for him than here. I want Jordan Spieth on a tougher course right now than this. And it's just, I got no interest, like zero.
Sweet Tea, like given his considerable like history here, like it wouldn't be surprising if he notched win number 14. He opened last year's events with a 63 before finishing T9. Dude, this was crazy. I came across like this friendly reminder today. He was 16 when he finished T16 here in 2010. Jeez. Like, I know, just unbelievable. I was such a wet fart when I was 16, not doing anything like that. But I don't know. You feeling it? You feeling any Spieth this week?
Was this his first tournament that he like wrote in and he's like, please let me play in this event? Was that this one, Jeff?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's hard to imagine him being any younger and competing in a PGA Tour event.
Ridiculously.
Just a slappy fart worth of a ladder. No. Going off the rails. You started it. To what Jeff is saying, I agree and I disagree. I think this week and any week in general for Spieth, I kind of feel it's the same with Justin Thomas, and here's why. Look at what he's doing with his irons. Like it is a sight to behold. He gained 4.8 at RBC, he lost 2.5 and won. He gained 6.2 at Valero and lost 7.2, which is I think the worst in the field. Damn. I think he gained the most tee to green at Valero, and then at Pebble, where he came in second to Tom Hoagie after that stupid 71st hole, his 17th hole, where he bogeyed that par 3. He gained 5.8 strokes with approach, and 7 in a row now, or 6 in a row, excuse me, of gaining strokes measured events. So we don't know what the Masters and how he did. Well, he missed the cut, so not great. But 6 measured events in a row, Spieth is gaining with his irons. When have we ever seen that before from him? Like never. What he does is he gains 1,000 on the greens.
I'm not discounting the fact that he's playing great. He is playing great. I just
see, but and this is where that's where I disagree with Jeff. Is that I think any week is a Jordan Spieth week. What I agree with him is that I don't really like him necessarily for the full tournament. I think he's a great first round leader bet. Right, like open up, the adrenaline's pumping. He's in his right outside of Dallas, and I believe he's around plus 3,000 to be the first round leader, plus 4,000.
Getting at that 63 to open up last year.
Yeah,
so if he can repeat that.
And again, it's one like you're done right after the first round. You don't have to worry about all the things right after the first round. That's it. I think he can open up strong because, like you mentioned, that's what he's done. That's what he's done in his career. That's what he's done here. So I really like that as opposed to taking him full bore. But if you take a look at it, like everything, like even the salaries right now, they're extremely forgiving, right? Like he's 10-1, I think, what was it? Scheffler is 10-9. Like you can make a decent lineup with a couple of guys up here. And look, if Spieth is able to get out hot and make a ton of birdies, I don't mind it.
Hey, before we go to football, I wanted to ask you guys just kind of playing through the Byron Nelson here, and I'll probably ask you guys tomorrow morning on the sweat as well, but like Tiger and Phil are both currently in the field for the PGA next week. It'll be the second major of the year. Which one playing is a bigger deal in your opinion, Reed?
Oh, Tiger.
Okay.
Like Phil is whatever. It's like his whole whatever it's happening with Phil. Like, I get it, but like Phil won't move the needle for a long-standing point. It'll be a blip on the radar of Phil's playing. Great. We'll talk about the Live Golf Tour and this and that. If Tiger is playing, it's all eyes on Tiger.
Yeah.
It's let's look back at his win at 2007 here. Let's look how amazing, it's going to be Tiger. And right now, I think his odds are like at plus 4,000 or plus 6,000.
What for next week? Yeah. So at least I don't know if they've changed. 2 days ago, we were talking about on the sweat. A lot of references to the sweat today. Look at us. Plus 4,000 for Tiger, and it was plus 8,000 for Phil. And I kind of agree a little bit with Reed there, Jeff, that I think like Phil may own like the news cycle out there at Southern Hills, like Monday or something, when they're going to put him in that press conference. He's going to answer all the questions there. And then he's going to after that, he's going to shut it down and say, I'll be more than happy to talk about like my golf game and what happens on the course.
And Tiger won't commit like he did at Augusta until Wednesday. And that's the brand of Tiger too, right? Like he'll wait until it's sort of a slow day, tee times rolled out, blah, blah, and then he'll say, I'm playing.
What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah. So Phil is going to dominate the early days. You guys are dead on. Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be like Phil sound bites. Like, oh, I just want to talk about my golf game. I don't want to, like just random Phil stuff that he says. Some of it's going to be nonsense. Some of it's going to be, who knows? Honestly, I don't even know what he's going to say. He might not say anything, and that'll just be enough because it'll just be stares of him staring blankly or getting mad at someone internally, right? So that'll be Phil. He's going to dominate Monday, Tuesday. The second the tournament starts, you bet it's going to be Tiger Woods. So I don't even know if there'll be that many.
And one
thing, Phil, but who once the golf tournament starts, I don't care. Like no one cares about what Phil Mickelson doing.
One thing that would be,
I know he won last year and he's great, but like it'll be on Tiger.
One thing that will be interesting about Phil though is the baby face to heel turn, right? Because
it's super. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like before the tournament starts, Phil is going to get a lot of attention, probably more than Tiger.
Phil's been this guy. Thumbs up to everybody. The people's champ.
He's back.
If you talk to players, and I'm not here to besmirch or slander Phil, but there's a very different sentiment about Phil inside the ropes than outside the ropes. So now you might be seeing the melding of the two a little bit more of this is kind of how Phil is, right? He's kind of this guy who's out for Phil Mickelson, and which is fine, but you're probably going to see a little bit more of the Phil inside the ropes if he's playing and if you're hearing him talk about not talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, they could both still pull out of the PGA Championship. They have up until Wednesday. Is that right? But
pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, as of now, they're
Tuesday. Would it be Tuesday because of tee times? Okay. Or even then, even if they get tee times, they could.
Okay.
They don't have to play.
Speaking of times, we're getting the times for a lot of NFL games here, man. The whole schedule is going to be released tomorrow. I think we're doing a schedule release special on Friday morning, 11 o'clock. On the sweat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are. And I think you two will be part of that. Hopefully.
I don't get told things like that. So I'll just assume that you're telling the truth.
No, never assume that. The latest game that was announced today, guys, we got Mike McCarthy returning to Green Bay as the head coach of the Cowboys.
Oh, wow.
Pretty epic, right? I only talked to Pierce about this stuff today. Like, you guys didn't show up, and Pierce started yelling at me. So we yelled at each other for 2 straight minutes to start the segment. It was entertaining.
What was on Pierce's mind? Actually, I'm actually interested. I'm not really interested.
No,
it's all nonsense. What he said. What did he say? Aaron Rodgers is done. The back in one game or something. Is that?
Yeah, because we started arguing about it. I said, hey, listen, it's kind of become a holiday for a lot of NFL fans. Like the fact that we know who our teams are playing. We know that. It's just weird how we're just waiting for them to tell us the date, the time, is it going to be prime time or not? And I said, this thing is going to get ratings on ESPN. People care about this stuff, the small little mini NFL holiday. And he's like, you really going to sit there and watch that? And I said, yeah, I'll probably sit my ass on the couch and watch a little bit of it and see when the Jaguars, what the road to the Super Bowl is going to look like, Pierce. Come on, Jeff, back me up on this.
Of course, it's the NFL. Dominates the news cycle 24/7. I love the NFL offseason. You got free agent signings, you got schedule release. This is important stuff for what we're doing too. Gambling.
Yeah.
We got to take a look. We got to set some parameters here. Is our win total realistic? Is Seattle going to be able to win 3 games on a row and on the road or whatever team we're taking, Yeah, man, it's important stuff.
And I like that you mentioned.
Lunatic.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned Seattle because like the Broncos at Seattle this year, that one's going to be easy to explain why like people are going to be enjoying that one with Russell Wilson's return there. But Reed, who's under more pressure to win a Super Bowl? We talking the Cowboys or the Packers? We talking Dak Prescott or Aaron Rodgers here in this latest game that was released?
Well, first things first, Pierce yells at clouds. So if you got,
Can I just say something too? And I hope he sees this. You know what? The only thing that bugs me about Pierce is like when our segment's done, he gets off Zoom. We all like to talk and annoy Cody, our technical director in the back, catch up a little more. Guy just gets off, doesn't want to talk to anybody. And it's like, how about a bye, Pierce? How about like a, hey, dude, what are you up to this weekend?
Pierce is the one guy who doesn't have any pictures in his cubicle, right? Like he just has one thing, like one Dilbert comic. That's it.
It's a book, actually. It's what it is.
Right.
It's like
we're not DFSing. I'm reading about, war
back injuries, whatever that back book he was telling us about.
Back injuries.
Yes. Yeah, Hideki did not do well, by the way, Pierce. Anyway, more pressure on Dallas for sure, right? Because Dallas hasn't done well in the playoffs since the Nixon administration.
Yeah, it's like they can't even get out of the first round.
Yeah, so it is definitely Dallas because they had look how much money they spent on their guys like Dak and like Zeke, and they let go of Amari Cooper. They made a bad pick in Jalen Smith. He didn't work out, but they paid him a ton of money. They had the best offensive line for 2 or 3 years running. They couldn't do anything with that. They cannot win the big games. So for sure, it is definitely Dallas, more pressure. And Green Bay, to be honest, Green Bay is in a quote unquote, or Aaron Rodgers specifically is in a win-win situation. Because if he doesn't win, it's because Devontae Adams left and I didn't know that. So how am I supposed to win with just me? I can't throw to myself. If I could, I would. And if they win, it's because of Aaron Rodgers. That the only reason why they're winning is because Aaron Rodgers is that good. So there really is no pressure on Green Bay right now. And Aaron Rodgers is getting paid. He doesn't, honestly, he's got his Super Bowl. He doesn't strike me right now, and I could be completely wrong because I don't know the guy personally, of someone who got a Super Bowl completely fine with winning one Super Bowl and being arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, because and that was part of the argument with Pierce this morning too, Jeff, I was like, the drama's gonna be ratcheted up here a little bit. I think November 13th, week 10. And he's like, no. Don't you think Mike McCarthy chooses to remember the good times? And I'm like, yes, but then there's the flip side of that coin with Aaron Rodgers too. It's we had some good times, but we should have had way more good times during our time together. One Super Bowl. It is insane to me to think that them together and all the success those teams had, and you had one freaking Super Bowl win. And you know what? It was more than a decade ago, Jeff.
Yeah, no,
that's crazy.
I think there's probably actually a little bit of animosity there between Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. I mean, I'm sure they'll bro hug it out at some point and it'll be good for the cameras. But I've always viewed that as Aaron Rodgers is just kind of I maybe just played it a little bit too laissez-faire. He could just, he would fix the problems on the field and not have to worry about Mike McCarthy and what he wasn't doing. But I actually disagree with Reed in terms of who's under more pressure. Dallas is the big fancy stadium. They're the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone is going to watch the Dallas Cowboys, even if they're 2-15 next year. People are still, they're the Cowboys. The Packers have Aaron Rodgers. They've been in this situation for 3 years straight now. Really good the regular season. Favorites, can't get it done. I think the pressure is on Green Bay bigger than it is on Dallas. We expect Dallas to be good, but I don't know. Are they really going to be people's Super Bowl picks next year? I think a lot more people will be picking Green Bay. So
I don't know. I see your point and it makes sense, but I think Green Bay's they could be a team that could go 4-13, 5 I mean, who do they Jeff? Honestly, and I'm not saying this as a joke.
Why do you say that? They had an amazing draft, dude.
I understand that, but when you have 40% of your production going to Devontae Adams, where are you gonna replicate that?
I'll be dead honest. I'm not worried about that. If that's going to get people off the Packers or we get better lines on it, I think fine. Look, Devontae Adams is great. I just think that issue is overblown. They still have Aaron Jones, a very good run team. Their defense is going to be a lot better.
Yeah,
I think
look
the
how many
Packers are
good
gonna be
running
just
backs.
fine. Maybe they won't be as dominant in the regular season, but I don't know. And also, like, you know, what they can still add like a Julio Jones or a Jarvis Landry, add a little bit of depth. Christian Watson. I think
but you're naming like C plus B minus receivers at the tail end of their career, not one of the best wide receivers to grace this this green earth in Devontae Adams. So I get what you're saying. So maybe week to week, totally agree. But to win the Super Bowl, I mean, you have one of the and again, the defense for Dallas was a little bit skewed last year, was a little bit inflated. Their turnover percentage was a little bit higher than expectations. I think that's going to regress, not as many interceptions, fumbles, what have you. So that should regress. But you have now Diggs and Parsons on that defense. You got some good guys on the line. And now you got rid of Amari Cooper and some dead money. And you're bringing in some solid wide receivers back in Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. And still you have Ezekiel Elliott, who by all stretches this could be the top 3 or 4 running backs still, and Dak Prescott if he can stay healthy. And you have that division, the NFC East, that could be easily won by Dallas, not by the Giants. And everybody loves the Giants in their draft, but they're a ways away from doing anything. Brian Daboll's in his first year. Eagles, I know you like the Eagles, but they're still the Eagles, right? So Dallas, to me, has that for the Super Bowl from week to week. If people are off Green Bay, I'm with you. But like into the playoffs, who is he going to pass to? Mercedes Lewis?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to see if Christian Watson's the real deal. I mean, I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And look, I know you like Julio Jones maybe didn't show much, and I know he's been banged up, but I would really like to see them add Julio Jones. He's still average over 14 yards per catch, and they may not need him to be prime Julio for the whole year. They get like 7 good games at him at the start. That lets Christian Watson develop. But I mean, you're not wrong. Like they need to replace those, but I really like the receivers they did draft in Watson and Romeo Doubs as well. I just you got their entire team is good. Like I get that they lost Devontae Adams, but man, they really had a good draft in my opinion, and I don't think they're getting enough credit for it.
Well, in terms of, go ahead, Reach. Sorry, just one.
No, I'm just saying, like, would you put your hard-earned Canadian dollars on the Green Bay Packers at plus 1,000?
I think that's a better number than we're getting last week. I mean, if we're looking at the top 4 picks, I mean, I'll take them over the Chiefs. I'll take them over the Chiefs and Bucks. Yeah, I'll take them over the top 4.
Cowboys tied with the Commanders for easiest schedule this season. And then you've got Green Bay has the 11th easiest schedule. Just like one more question here for you guys, as the schedules are being, as all the schedules will be released tomorrow night, 8:00. Anybody know what the distance around the earth at the equator is?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I knew this off the top of my head, but in
terms of miles.
Yeah, miles.
Man,
what do you got?
Embarrass myself and venture a guess.
It doesn't matter. You're gonna have.
If the United States is 2,500 miles from coast to coast. Oh,
Jeff, if you know, just throw out a number.
7,500 miles. I don't know.
7,500 miles.
No, that's way too small.
No idea.
I have no idea.
24,901 miles. I knew that. That was so easy. So the reason I bring that up is because there are 5 NFL teams this season that are going to travel more miles than it takes to go around the world. The Seahawks are going to travel the most. New Orleans, Jacksonville, Denver, and Miami are also.
I didn't say 750. I said 7,500. Like
I know you said 7,500. No, dude, listen, man, that's not great. We'll clip that up and we'll tweet that out. Don't worry about it. But I just had one more question. It's like we're seeing these schedules come out, strength of schedule. You see how far some of these teams are going to be traveling. How much, Reed, do you factor that in right now? Maybe when you consider betting a team's win totals.
Not much.
Okay.
These guys travel much differently than the plebes that we are.
Okay,
right?
True.
They travel in complete style. They have all of their the recovery machines, mechanics everywhere they go. So I'm not too worried about it. The East, like the West to East as well in the early game. That matters to one team, like the Chargers. Yeah. That's about it.
I know we talked during the season. Some of these like West Coast teams that play like East Coast, those 1:00 games, some of them don't have like fantastic records, like against the spread and that kind of stuff. But that's all stuff we can get into like later. It's crazy, Jeff. You have so they'll cross 34 time zones like total around the world, the Seahawks, The Pittsburgh Steelers don't even leave the Eastern time zone once this season. They traveled just under 6,500 miles total.
It's the AFC North. Those teams are so close to each other, and then if they don't get like away games with Western teams or like a conference like the NFC West, like they really just don't have to go that far. So it's a little bit of a disadvantage, but I mean, obviously, if you're a West Coast team, like that's what you're dealing with. So I don't know. I mean, it probably gets blown up too much, this kind of stuff. Teams are so good at planning. They have such good facilities. I mean, you got to look at it for betting week to week and stuff like that and trends, but I wouldn't get too worked up about it. If your favorite team all of a sudden has like a longer travel schedule, they're a good team. They'll work it out. The Rams did it last year. I mean, they're West Coast. So
yeah, I think the Rams, I think the shortest distance, like the Rams will travel, or maybe it's the Chargers will travel for a game, is 0 miles. I think they play each other both in their home stadium. Rams with the hardest schedule.
And
season.
one thing I do kind of agree with Pierce about a little bit in terms of just like looking ahead at NFL futures. The Rams are a veteran team. They really just did well with the injuries last year. And by well, I mean, they just have a lot of major injuries. That team is so focused on like 2 or 3 players that someone goes down. I think the Rams could be in for a tough sledding. And they did have a really easy schedule towards the end of the year last year. They didn't have to go to Lambeau to get in the Super Bowl. They got Cincinnati in the Super Bowl as their opponent, rather than like the Bills or Kansas City, who by most metrics were like far dominant teams. I could see the Rams having a tough go of it next year.
All right. So you're not betting Cooper Kupp plus 700 to have the most regular season receiving yards?
Probably not. Well, Cooper Kupp, if he stays healthy, is probably going to catch a ton of yards. I don't know. I mean, that's like the one, that's like a player props. That's not really going to what I said, right? I'm talking.
No, I'm saying, I mean, if they have a crappy year and expect a down year, I mean, I would expect like numbers to be down as well with players. That's it. Who are you waving? You're waving off your roommates. We have to go anyway. Like your roommates have Rex Kwon Do to get to, and we got to all like walk our dogs and stuff. Okay, Reed, you learned something new today. The distance of the Earth is traveling around the equator.
7,500 miles.
Yeah, no, 750.
I was doing my arithmetic.
750 miles.
Clowns.
I'm gonna go travel around the world right when we're gone.
If I thought the United States was 2,500 miles from coast to coast, why would I say around the entire world is 750?
I don't know, man.
Florida education. Wrap it up. I gotta.
You guys with your Meg jokes. All right, we gotta go. We'll see everyone tomorrow morning on the Sweat, 11 o'clock Eastern time.
Clowns.